What would you do if you could explore your sexuality without social stigma in a truly private and safe space? Would you experiment with a different gender or give into the urge for a certain kink you've been too scared to try in real life? The founders of Do You will share how their virtual sex wellness and exploration platform offers a fun digital experience where sexual discovery and sex therapy work together. Please welcome Elayne Safir and Meli Chamorro.
Hi, everyone. Very excited to be speaking here with all of you. And thank you again, Angelina, for this amazing space you've created. We're really excited. I'm Meli Chamorro. I am one of the co-founders of Do You. Just to give a little bit of background of myself, originally from Miami, but based in New York City. I have an experience over 10 plus years of experience in graphic design and advertising. Most of my career I've spent working at different ad agencies, one of them being Ogilvy in Paris.
My name is Elaine. I'm the other co-founder of Do You. And I'm originally from Ukraine. That's why you can hear a little bit of an accent. That's in Eastern Europe. And I've been living in New York for the past 30 years or so. That's where I'm dialing in from today. It is my very first time presenting in VR. So if I mess something up on the tech side, please don't judge too harshly. But I'm super excited to be here as with all of you wonderful people. I actually worked in tech for over 20 years. I got started in the late 1990s, and that was the time of Web 1.0 days, where basically, if you did anything in tech, your job title was webmaster. So you were the person who completely created the online experience for a person or for a business. And then from there, as the web and as technology evolved over the many years, I've started transitioning more into development and into design specifically. And I've since then led design teams at lots of different companies throughout the world. I worked on at Urban Outfitters. I designed the Anthropology iOS mobile experience app. Actually worked for the Sochi Winter Olympic Games a couple of years ago, designing an experience in multiple languages, which was super fun. I'm also a frequent speaker and moderator at tech panels, which is where you might have seen me present before. I usually advocate for ethics and design in design and development of digital experiences. So Do You, for those of you who haven't tried it out yet, is a brand new app. We were live last year in the private beta, and we've been around since January as a public experience available on iOS. And the whole premise, the whole idea behind the app was based again about the need from the need of women and underrepresented communities like the LGBTQ community to truly express and discover themselves in what their sexual and social experiences. And so Melly and I came up with this idea about 2 years ago while possibly drinking too much wine on my rooftop in Brooklyn on a hot summer day and looking at each other sexting. She was pulling up her phone, I was pulling up mine, our friends were pulling up theirs. And as we were talking about how it's crazy that this is like the only way that right now people can really explore the fantasy without the judgment of being there in person, that we really fell in love with the idea of having an experience that's truly digital, that's completely separate from your physical form, can open you up to these amazing possibilities. It can let you be completely free to try something new that you've never tried before in your life. And so one of the interesting things about Do You specifically is it was designed with that principle in mind. How can we completely free you up? How can we take away all the stigma of the physical form and allow you to truly explore yourself? And so the app consists of a couple of different experiences. One, which is the really cool, interesting, interactive, brand new sexting experience, which is sort of like playing like a video game. You get to try on all these different personas and you get to try being different people, exploring different kinks and different sexual scenarios and interacting with different characters via a simulated sex. And so there's some kind of a setting that's made for the story. Let's say that you want to try exploring a fantasy with a vampire in Paris. or today you're really interested in some kind of a sexy stranger scenario. So you want to simulate the idea of hooking up with a stranger at a hotel while you're out of town on business. Remember hotels, guys? Remember traveling out of town on business? I definitely miss it. So one of the ways that we've been able to create this experience, and which is really, really exciting right now when people can't travel and a lot of the people are social distancing and they can't interact with people in real life, is it allows people the opportunity to really go into these virtual worlds, some of which play out in their imagination, some of which is set up on the app itself, and figure out exactly how they might behave in an experience like this. Try something new, a whole different personality, a different kink they've never tried before, and see how they feel about it before they take it out into the real world and explore it there. The other really cool thing about the app is that since the very beginning, we partnered with a sex therapist. And our sex therapist is so incredibly talented. Her background is also in treating like different gender identity issues. She works a lot with like non-binary and trans folks in New York. She has an incredible history, and she, since the very beginning, has helped us design not only the interactive chatting experience, but also a news feed. Oh, hey, Melly, are you back?
Hi, sorry,
Oh,
my
wonderful.
headset got a little too hot, so I'm somewhere cooler.
No
Sorry
worries.
about
I've been totally winging it through your part of the talk, but I just got to the part talking
that.
about the app and the sex therapist. So maybe you want to take over.
Oh, great. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so as Elaine was saying, we have a sex therapist that's a certified sex therapist that works with us, and we're really excited to have her on board. And she's actually given some of these interactive experiences as homework for people that might be nervous to try something or how to talk to their partner about what they might like or not like when it comes to sex. We also see that with the, and sorry, you talked about the newsfeed as well, I'm imagining, Elaine.
Just a little, but I'm sure you're going to do it
Yeah,
better than me. So
great.
please.
So yeah, she works. She does articles mostly for the newsfeed, and users can ask questions to our sex therapist. She then engages in a back and forth with the person who asked the question, so that she can really give a thorough response that tailored to that person and knows the more details about that person's situation. And we could have just done the interactive experiences, but we thought that the newsfeed was really important piece as well, because when it comes to sex, you don't come in knowing exactly what you want from the moment you turn 18. It's an ongoing discovery about what you like, what you don't like, learning how to even tell someone what you like. And so we wanted the interactive experiences to be something that you can learn, you can try out. Well, do I like BDSM? Do I like getting it on with a pirate? I mean, we wanted to really let people explore, but then also have a side of the app where they can then learn more about that. You realize that you have a thing for pirates. Well, now there's an article explaining why there's type of fantasy kinks that people really get into. And so for us, that sort of symbiotic relationship between the newsfeed and the interactive experience is a really important part to really start exploring and learning about your sexuality.
And one of the interesting things too is like not everybody is ready to jump into right away a simulated sexting sexual encounter, right? So some people actually just start out on their app reading the stories and the newsfeed. They read the Q&A with the sex therapist that other people have asked the questions and she's answered, and seeing themselves in some of those shared experiences. And then they're getting a little bit more brave to try out the interactive part. So why is this so cool? Like, why is this a really interesting part of tech and XR right now? Extended reality is such a fascinating, wonderful thing, and it's such a great team along with sexual wellness. And the reason we believe it is that first and foremost, it's a safe space, right? Like we all need a safe space, especially in some countries more than others, where sexuality is still incredibly frowned upon and considered uncouth. It's not something you can talk about at the dinner table with your friends and family. It's something that you may get punished for talking about or bringing up. So as people are starting to learn and really understand how it's a really important part of your overall well-being, um, we wanted to give somebody that safe place where you could get completely in touch with yourself and then learn some language for how you might want to communicate this with others. Like Melly mentioned also, sexuality is always changing and evolving. So you may start out liking some things, and then later in life, you stop liking them. And then what happens? Do you feel like a little bit of shame? Do you not know how to tell your partner that, yes, you've always really liked doing this thing, but now you just don't? Or suddenly you wanted to have, like, I don't know, vanilla sex all the time, but suddenly you're really into the idea of BDSM. That's like not an easy conversation to have if you don't have the right words for it, and if you haven't simulated that kind of a conversation virtually first in an environment where there's no judgment, where you can really role play that scenario, right? The other thing that's kind of cool is we talked a lot when we were starting this whole experiment about the idea of exploring your gender identity. Not only are we all somewhere on this like big Kinsey scale of sexuality, we're also sometimes we change or we discover different parts of ourselves throughout our lives. And we think about, like, as we learn new words, sometimes they come across as something that we've always felt but never knew how to say, like until you learn maybe the word for non-binary. Did you really know that was an option for you, right? Maybe you only thought that you could be straight or gay and a man or a woman, but that's no longer the case. We're starting to learn so much more about what gender can be and how it can be much more closely related to how you feel and how you want to express yourself. The other thing that's kind of cool is like any sort of XR experiences are really like the only place where you can have that erotic encounter without feeling self-conscious about your physical body, about the image you project, even your voice. I know with me, for example, like I mentioned I'm from Ukraine. You can hear my accent a little bit as I speak English. I'm always incredibly self-conscious about how my voice sounds. If you've ever heard yourself on like a voicemail recording, you might also have a similar idea about how maybe your voice isn't as sexy as you thought it would be. And so having a completely virtual experience allows us to take all the stigma out of that, and really delve into the experience, just you, just your imagination, and something that makes you feel good. And that's a wonderful thing. Some of the other really cool possibilities we see in the XR and augmented reality experiences are integrations with popular culture. So, you know how we talk about 50 Shades of Grey a lot as we work on this app, because we just thought it was such an interesting cultural phenomena where suddenly, especially in the United States, where Millie and I are from, you were having a conversation about BDSM with grandma at Thanksgiving table. And that's because of 50 Shades of Grey, because it just became such a huge cultural thing that it was impossible to escape it. And we thought it was fantastic. So now as that became part of our reality, what if you could instead of just, I don't know, reading a review online about the new sequel to 50 Shades of Grey, you can actually sext with Christian Grey from 50 Shades as a preview to the new book. You can be dropped into this interactive experience and you can play out a scene as an expert from this new reality. And that's a way that you truly engage with the characters. You could also rethink the movie trailer instead of the new, I don't know, Magic Mike, Magic Mike 17. Is that what we're up to now? There's so many of them. You can
So I think
actually
it's
play out
25.
25. I think that's right. As many as the Fast and the Furious movies. What if you could have a really sexy encounter with Magic Mike in a strip club as a way to like preview a movie before it comes out in theaters, right? And then finally, something that I've been always super passionate about was augmented reality, combining VR or I guess augmented with the real world. So let's say you're at a bar. Depending where you are in the world, you may not remember what a bar is right now. But we used to go to these places called bars and we used to hang out with people and it was wonderful and lots of strangers and sweaty close proximity to each other. What if you need to give yourself a little bit of a boost and you need to just get a little bit turned on mentally? That's super important for women. Like a lot of our sexuality happens inside our brains first, and that's how we get turned on. And so let's say that you're sitting at the bar and you're having your, personality drink, as my friends call it, or cocktail for courage, as some of the other friends call it. But instead of just using alcohol as a way to psych you up, to be in the mood to socialize with people or to have a sexy encounter, instead you open up an app and you get a little bit in the mood by playing an interactive story. And in this interactive story, you are sitting in a bar just like you are in the real world. And when that part of the story comes up, when the character says, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" If you say yes, suddenly the bartender brings over a drink because the app is integrated with the location of the bar.
And so if you get that drink from that bartender and then all of a sudden it says, okay, go to the third stall in the girls' restroom, and you go into that stall, and all of a sudden through AR, there's now a private message that's there that you can see through your phone just for you. Again, this isn't about replacing reality with digital experiences or online experiences. It's about augmenting reality, about getting you in the mood, about helping you figure out what you're into and what you like. So we see a lot of potential when it comes to Do You, about how we can sort of create more sexy experiences to help you get more comfortable, to help you find more ideas with your significant other, which we've been getting a lot of responses of people being like, oh, this is a great idea of how I can text my partner now. So that's what we're really excited. But if we start looking now towards the future and towards VR, we see massive amounts of opportunity there that could really benefit so many people. If we look at VR, it's already being used to treat different mental health illnesses. It's being treated successfully to help with PTSD. It's being used for social anxiety, where you can put on a headset and you have a guided walkthrough through a social experience, and someone comes to talk to you, but you're in a safe space. You know that you can just take the headset off when it becomes a little bit too real, and you can get back to reality, and it helps you sort of ease into something that you're afraid of in real life. Another thing that it's being used to treat is phobias. And if we think about phobias, it has to do with fear. Well, sex has a lot of fear with it. So if we use phobias as an example, it's being treated using exposure therapy. So for example, let's say you have a phobia of butterflies. I mean, no judgment. I mean, people have all types of things. It might be a frog for you, a phobia of just people in general. Everyone has their different things and their different kinks. But let's say you have a phobia of butterflies. Well, you can use VR to sort of help you get okay with the idea of butterflies in reality. First, you see a picture, and you might have a guided therapist that sort of tells you, okay, breathe in. Then you can all of a sudden be immersed in a butterfly therapy, where butterfly garden, where you see them all going around you, and it's not real, but at least you can help overcome the fear. Because that's that saying, nothing's greater than the overcoming the fear itself. And overcoming that fear can then help you actually do the thing in real life. Now, if we start thinking about how we can start using VR to help you overcome these things in reality, let's talk about it when it comes to sex. I am what they call a late in life lesbian. I'm 35. I didn't realize that I was gay until I was 30 years old. And I wish that I would have had something like this to help me when I was at that point, because I was overcome with fears. How do I hit on a girl in a bar? How do I talk to a girl? What do I do when I start hooking up with a girl and the shirt comes off and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, boobs, how do I feel? There's a lot of fears. And so if we can have a guided VR experience where it's not porn, where it's more of a therapy tool, where it says, okay, now you're talking to a woman, how do you feel about that? How are your nerves feeling? And then all of a sudden she might take off her top and she's in her bra. How are you doing? How are you checking in with yourself? Are you turned on? Do you like this? Again, this is not about replacing reality. It's about helping me find what I want in my reality. And there might be some things that you want to just keep digitally. There's a lot of people that we've seen in our app that they love the idea of BDSM. They love getting really, freaky with it. But when they try it in real life, it doesn't work. And that's okay too. That is totally normal. There's things that are just fantasies that want to stay in your fantasy world, but we're trying to also find ways of what's in your fantasy world that you want to bring into the real world. And so that's really where we see the potential. And we're starting to get really excited the fact that we're all here talking about this, that our speakers before that are doing amazing work. We think that this space should get more heated. It should get more people. There's so much opportunity and so much more things to be done, because the more we talk about sex, the less stigma there is, the less fear you have, the more you feel, okay, it's just a foot fetish. Everyone has it. I'm not a freak. And I think that is what our sex therapist says is the biggest question they get, is that I feel like I'm not normal. And just hearing that you're normal can alleviate a lot of the pressure that people feel when it comes to their sexual life. So once again, we're really excited. There you go. Well, at least we're taking turns leaving the stage. So again, we're really excited, and we love seeing how more people are coming to this space, especially startups. And I think if we all band together, if we all start showing that this is normal, that this is healthy, sex wellness is as normal as it is working out. It's a part of your daily activity. Hopefully, then it's only going to get better for all of us, and we can start removing the stigma together. But and Elaine, any last thoughts you want to add before we do Q&A?
Yeah, I'm assuming you covered almost everything. Apologies. I literally just had my headset in the freezer for 2 minutes. I really hope I didn't break anything. So yeah, I don't know if you mentioned just our mission. One of the things that Melly and I came together was our team on since the very beginning is around the belief that no matter what your age, your gender, your orientation, or your relationship status, sexual well-being is a crucial part of emotional and physical self-care. And so XR environments are uniquely suited to provide these safe, positive, consent-focused, and I think most importantly, when it comes to sexual exploration and discovery, fun spaces to allow us to really explore that sexual desire and inspire healthy sexual habits, which can then transcend into the physical world. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a question from Sarah.
Amazing, thank you. Oh my God, just amazing. I just totally obviously love what you're doing, and I think it's so fascinating, especially blending the worlds of like AR and thinking about integrating it into real world spaces. My question was actually about the changing role of sex workers. I know that's not necessarily something that you're directly involved in, but I think it's been so interesting with COVID. Obviously, then lots of sex workers have moved to online, and there is much more camming and those sorts of things going on. But how do you think that like AR and XR may change how those sort of interactions may have work for people?
I mean, they've changed already, haven't they? One of the things that we're super excited about is as we explore our sexuality, even just that term sex work, that's not something that like most lay people who are not in this industry like we are use wisely. And so one of the things that we've been focusing on early on is just that education. On our newsfeed, we have editorial content from like a professional dominatrix. We have editorial content from people who work in sex work. And so we're trying to just help people understand like what jobs like that entail, how you can take advantage of jobs like that, how you can make those connections, and how you can be a healthy participant when engaging with people who work in that industry.
Amazing. Thank you so much.